Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Just a sec. Yes, Prabhu. Hello. Hello. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhus. So, today something very different happened. We had a very eloquent speaker from Iskan Chowpatty who was supposed to come, but due to some reason they were not able to, and now you are stuck with me. So, what we are going to do is we'll be reading a special verse from Bhagavad Gita, which is going to help us in a lot of things. So, what we do always is how we follow everything. Before starting anything, since I guess all of those people who are here majorly are from India, and at least know Indians a lot. So, how we do when we go out of our homes, what we do first? We pray, right? We at the end like touch feet, lotus feet of our parents a lot of times. And that's how we start our day. Same thing we are going to do. We are not going to touch the feet, but what we are going to do, we are going to pray. Before reading Bhagavad Gita, whoever has given us Bhagavad Gita will be praying to them. So I'll be putting a little small prayer. You just have to chant together if you can. It's fine. If the pronunciations are wrong, it's just chanting that matters. Okay? So, and also, okay, it's written over there. We'll be reading that prayer, which is on the other side, and then we'll be reciting this prayer 3 times, and then we'll be starting Bhagavad Gita reading. Okay? So just join your hands together and chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Now we'll be chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the actual first step of Bhakti Yoga, that we'll be chanting names of Radha and Krishna together. Hare is Radharani and Krishna is Krishna. So once we chant their names, present. They are present over here in between us now, listening Bhagavad Gita, chanting Bhagavad Gita with us. So yeah, now we have to be more attentive because they are here. So we'll be starting with that, and we'll be reading verse number 11.44. We'll be reading chapter 11 and verse number 44. So what we are going to do is we are going to read translation and purport. What are purports? Purports are something which are going to help us applying Bhagavad Gita in reality. How we should be applying it in reality, we can easily get it understand from purports. So it's on page number 457, and we'll be starting from there. Would anybody like to read that part? Yes, it will be from You Are the Supreme Lord. Yes, please go ahead. Unfortunately, we'll be doing is Everyone comfortable with Hindi? कोई बात नहीं. Are you guys okay with Hindi? Okay. So मैं दोनों में कर लूँगा. हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों में. हाँ ना प्रभु? Start reading. नहीं नहीं नहीं. You are the supreme Lord. First we'll read translation. मतलब हम लोग सबसे पहले ट्रांसलेशन रीड करेंगे. पहले ट्रांसलेशन रीड करेंगे हम लोग, उसके बाद उसके परपट पर जाएंगे हम लोग. हाँ? Hare Krishna. So now we'll be reading purport. Will you like to read purport? Just after that. Yes. Yes. No, no, that. So basically, I'll be now reading it one more time. Translation. It says, this is actually Arjuna speaking to Krishna. Right now, Krishna has shown his universal form to Krishna. कृष्णा ने जस्ट अपना यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म जो है, जो महायोगी का है, वो अभी अभी बताया है अर्जुन को. एंड नाउ और अब अर्जुन को रियलाइज़ हो रही है सारी चीज़ें. तो अब अर्जुना ये चीज़ बोल रहा है कृष्णा को, यू आर द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड टू बी वर्शिप्ड बाय एवरी लिविंग बीइंग. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates this impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done. So now since Arjun has realized, क्योंकि अर्जुन को अब रियलाइज़ हुआ है कि मैं जिसके साथ अभी तक मस्ती कर रहा था, सारी चीज़ें कर रहा था, वो सुप्रीम लॉर्ड है. He is Krishna himself. He is God. So now, realize होने के बाद, what he's trying to do, he's just trying to tell Krishna that Krishna, please forget my mistakes. Please forgive me for whatever I have done to you. In just joking manner. इसलिए आगे परपट में वो बोल रहा है, Krishna's devotee, sorry, परपट में Prabhupada is speaking, Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, or as a master. हर किसी का अलग अलग तरीके से रिलेशन है कृष्णा के साथ. So here in purport Prabhupada is just talking about that. Prabhupada just यही बोल रहे हैं कि कुछ लोग कृष्णा को एज हस्बैंड की तरह देखते हैं, कुछ लोग एज फ्रेंड, कुछ लोग एज मास्टर. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendships as the father tolerates or the husband or a master tolerates, Krishna tolerates. जैसे कभी कभी प्रॉब्लम्स के टाइम पर हस्बैंड वाइफ के बीच में हस्बैंड टॉलरेट करता है, वाइफ टॉलरेट करती है, फादर टॉलरेट करता है अपने सन को बहुत बार. वैसे ही प्रभुपाद इज सेइंग और अर्जुना इज आस्किंग कृष्णा टू टॉलरेट वॉट एवर ही हैज़ डन. नाउ इसके आगे we'll be reading together. It's like I will be reading 45, but we'll be doing reading so that we can complete or we can understand more rather than explaining. I guess will that be okay? Yeah. So अब हम लोग 45th read करेंगे. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead. O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Now, Arjuna, since seeing that form of Krishna, क्योंकि अभी अर्जुना ने कृष्णा का वो फॉर्म देखा है which is very difficult to comprehend, then Arjuna is again asking to Krishna that Krishna, please come in your supreme personality of Godhead form. Which form is that? It's his two-handed form. it's Radha Khirchur Gopinath's form. When the middle altar doors are going to open, Radha Khirchur Nath Radha Khirchur Gopinath is going to appear. That is Krishna's real form, two-handed form, Tribhang Lalit that we call him. So that is his original form. And Arjuna is asking now to Krishna, please appear in that form again because I'm not able to digest this form. I cannot see you in this form. It's so difficult. I'm filled with fear now. I'm not able to look at you with the same sakhiras, the same friendshipness. I'm just able to look at you in fear now. And that's what Arjuna is telling to Krishna after telling earlier that please show me this form. So now we'll be reading purport of 45. Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend. As a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence, Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus, his mind is disturbed, asking Krishna to show his Narayana form because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha place, he has his transcendental form with four hands as Narayana. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and each of them Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus, Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planets, the form of Narayana is four-handed, but the four-handed holds different arrangement of symbols: the conch shell, mace, lotus, and disc. According to different hands, these all four things are held in the Narayana and variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his four-handed feature. Now we'll be reading translation of 46th. I guess if we all can read together, that would be easier. Or should I just pass mics? Will that be okay? Yeah. Would you like to read 46?
O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with a club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. From here. Should I read like the first line in the Brahma? Okay. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Ramadi. Okay, I don't know how to read that. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Ram, Narsingh, Narayan, etc. There are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayan, a spiritual form. This verse establishes, without any doubt, the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all other features originate from him. He's no different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is a constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of the material world.
Um, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. Arjuna wanted to see the universal form of the Supreme Lord, so Lord Krishna, out of his mercy upon his devotee Arjuna, showed his universal form full of effulgence and opulence. This form was glaring like the sun, and its many faces were rapidly changing. Krishna showed this form just to satisfy the desire of his friend Arjuna. This form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is inconceivable by human speculation. No one had seen this universal form of the Lord before Arjuna, but because the form was shown to Arjuna, other devotees in the heavenly planets and in other planets in outer space could also see it. They had not seen it before, but because of Arjuna, they were also able to see it. In other words, all the disciplic devotees of the Lord could see the universal form which was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Someone has commented that this form was shown to Duryodhana also when Krishna went to Duryodhana to negotiate for peace. Unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer, but at the time, Krishna manifested some of his universal forms. But those forms were different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one had ever seen this form before.
Hare Krishna. So, in text 47, again, Krishna is speaking about how Arjuna asked him to show him his universal form. And when Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna, as it is mentioned that his internal potency, this form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is inconceivable by human speculations. So whatever we can imagine, we cannot imagine. Speculation means imagining things. So we cannot imagine Supreme Lord's original form. So that's what Krishna is also speaking on his own, that no, you cannot imagine that. And when Arjuna begged to Krishna to show me your universal form, I want to see it, Arjuna was not able to comprehend because faces were changing all of a sudden, a lot of hands were coming, a lot of legs were coming. So seeing that form, Arjuna turned into fear. That's what Sri Krishna is speaking about. Along with that, it's also mentioned that before Arjuna, Krishna showed this form to whom? Duryodhan. At what time? When he went to do the peace negotiation over there. When he went to just ask for 5 villages for 5 Pandavas, at that time Krishna showed this universal form to Duryodhana. But out of illusion, Duryodhana couldn't see it. Now we'll be reading text 48.
O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by precious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in this material world. The divine vision in this connection should be clearly understood. Who can have divine vision? Divine means godly. Unless one attains the status of divinity as a demigod, he cannot have divine vision. And what is demigod? It is stated in the Vedic scriptures that those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are demigods. Vishnu Bhakta Samvrito Deva. Those who are aesthetic, that is, who do not believe in Vishnu, atheistic, that is, who do not believe in Vishnu, or who recognize only the impersonal part of Krishna as the Supreme, cannot have the divine vision. It is not possible to decree Krishna and at the same time have the divine vision. One cannot have the divine vision without becoming divine. In other words, those who have divine vision can also see like Arjuna. The Bhagavad Gita gives the description of the universal form, although this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna. Now, one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this incident. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord, but one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision are not very much interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the four-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu, and he was actually afraid of the universal form. In this verse, there are some significant words, just like uh, Veda, Yagna Dhyanake, which refers to studying Vedic literature and the subject matter of sacrificial regulations. Veda refers to all kinds of Vedic literature, such as the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, and the 18 Puranas, the Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. One can study these at home or anywhere else. Similarly, there are sutras, Kalpa Sutras, and Mimamasa Sutras for studying the method of sacrifice. Dania refers to the charity which is offered to a suitable party, such as those who are engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord, the Brahmanas, and the Vaishnavas. Similarly, pious activities refers to the Agnihotra and the prescribed duties of the different castes, and the voluntary acceptance of some bodily pains is called tapasya. So one can perform all these, can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he is in a devotee like Arjuna, it is not possible to see that universal form. Those who are impersonalists are also imagining that they are seeing the universal form of the Lord. But from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are unable to see the universal form of the Lord. There are many persons who create incarnations. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation, but this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita, otherwise there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although Bhagavad Gita is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that it enables one to distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo-incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of God, the universal form, but that is unacceptable because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of God. So one, first of all, has to become a pure devotee of Krishna. Then he can claim that he can show the universal form of what he has seen. A devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations.
Text 49. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Which form is Arjuna desiring now? Yes, correct. So, Purport, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfather and master. But Krishna said that he need not to be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent, and for such negligence of duty, they should be killed. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful actions. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown Now Arjuna wanted to see the four armed form, and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feeling. Either a devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings, or he wants to see the two handed Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now we'll be reading text 50.
Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first of all appeared as four-armed Narayan, but when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a four-handed form, but since Arjuna asked to see this four-handed form, Krishna also showed him this form again, and then showed himself in his two-handed form. The word Saumya Vapu is very significant. Saumya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form. And because Krishna is the director of the universe, and he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Premanjana Churata Bhakti Vilochanena. Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love and can see the beautiful the beautiful form of Sri Krishna.
When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human like form so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. Here the words Manusam Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four-handed Narayana form? So it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and who misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and his four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you're now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. In the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded revealing his universal form and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many pious activities, sacrifices, etc. Now, here the word Durdarsam is used, indicating that Krishna's two-handed form is still more confidential. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see. That has already been explained. Still, Beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidence of Lord. We have evidence in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother, Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna, and they offered nice prayers to the Lord, although he was not at that time visible to them. They waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, thinking him an ordinary person, and may offer respect not to him but to the impersonal something within him. But these are all nonsensical postures. Krishna in his two-armed form is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva. In Bhagavad Gita 9:11, it is also confirmed, Ava jananti mam mida manusim tanum asritam. He is not visible to the foolish persons who deride him. Krishna's body, as confirmed by Brahma Samhita and confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, is completely spiritual and full of bliss and eternality. His body is never like a material body. But for some who make a study of Krishna by reading Bhagavad Gita or similar Vedic scriptures, Krishna is a problem. One using a material process, Krishna is considered to be a great historical personality and very learned philosopher, but he is an ordinary man, and even though he was so powerful, he had to accept a material body. Ultimately, they think that absolute truth is impersonal. Therefore, they think that from his impersonal feature, he assumed a personal feature attached to material nature. This is a materialistic calculation of the Supreme Lord. Another calculation is speculative. Those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna and considered him to be less important than the universal form of the Supreme. Thus, some think that the universal form of Krishna, which was manifested to Arjuna, is more important than his personal form. According to them, the personal form of Supreme is something imaginary. They believe that in the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is not a God, but the transcendental process is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, to hear about Krishna from authorities. That is the actual Vedic process, and those who are actually in the Vedic line hear about Krishna from authority. And by hearing about him, Krishna becomes dear. As we have several times discussed, Krishna is covered by his Yoga Maya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can he be seen. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. For one who is surrendered soul, the absolute truth can be actually understood. The transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness and by developing service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eyes open and can see Krishna by revelation. Such a revelation is not possible even for the demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna. And the advanced demigods are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his two-handed form. The conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shyam Sundara.
So, Shyam Sundar is actually the two-handed form of Krishna. That is much more difficult. Yes. Shyam Sundar is the name of deities in ISKCON Vrindavan. It's called Krishna Balram Temple. There we have deities. Their names are Radha, Shyam Sundar. And here we have deities. Their names are Radha, Khirchor, Gopinath. So everywhere, wherever you go in ISKCON temples, they have different deities, and every deity has different names. So that name belongs to the mood that that temple is going to have. The name belongs to the deities, what they resonate. So our deities are, so there's a beautiful story. So it's just the thing is, I have stopped sharing these stories after listening about them, that they are so rare to be heard by everyone. So about the story of our Radha Khirchur Gopinath, it seems, or I heard it in one of the lectures, that anybody who hears about this story after coming to this temple, it is to be known as like internal associate of Lord. How we are sitting over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, right? Only we are in the temple. 7 actually. Prabhupada is there. So whoever is outside, they are also the part and participle of God, but not the internal, because we are sitting internal. So they will be called internal associates of God. After listening to it, I don't directly speak about that story right away, but since now we have brought up that topic, I'll just quickly summarize it. It's just once when Madhavendra Puri, he is a saint, he was going through Odisha. At that time, the original Radha Khirchur Gopinath, his name was Gopinath till then. But seeing that Madhavendra Puri wants the pot of kheer, pot of rice, sweet rice, which was stored for Gopinath, which was made for Gopinath, what he did was Gopinath stole that pot for his devotee. Since he did that, after that his name became Radha Kheer Chor Gopinath, a Krishna, a Gopinath who stole kheer pot for his devotee. So this is the extremely merciful story of Krishna. So because it is extremely merciful, our deities are extremely merciful. That's why their names are Radha, Khirchor, Gopinath. Anybody hears about them coming into the temple, they become the internal associate of Radha, Khirchor, Gopinath. So welcome to the club, guys. Welcome for joining the beautiful club. And you know our temple has a name as well. Not only ISKCON, there is another name. Yeah, that's also one of the names as similar to ISKCON. It's called New Ramunadham, because the one which we have in India, it's called Ramunadham, and because it's in Canada, this one has name New Ramunadham. So yes, welcome to New Ramunadham. Welcome, internal associates. Happy to have you all. So now we'll be reading text 53. Since we went off the track, let's come back. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a four-handed form. Oh, did we read this already? We did not, right? Exactly, right? That's what I was thinking. So I'll be reading 2 then. The mystery, he transformed himself into the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand, nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to temple to offer worship. They may take their visits, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. Now, Krishna says, "My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding." Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that Unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by their speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a four-handed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penances in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one can observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day afternoon after the new moon, and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna's philosophy or to Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So, if one gives some amount of his money to a person involving in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is the chance to progress by offering the beginners in devotional service to the Lord. Temple worship is essential, and that is confirmed in the Vedic literature Shvetasvatara Upanishad 6.23. Oh, it's a big one. I don't know. One who has unflinching one who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the Supreme Spiritual Master is whom he has similar unflinching faith can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word to is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal form of Krishna, the two-handed form, and the four-handed are described as Sudurdarsham, very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form of Narayana and the two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The word Tvad Anyena Na Drishta Purvam states that before Arjuna no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that amongst the devotees there was no necessity of showing it. The form was exhibited by Lord Krishna, by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so that the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. The word na used repeatedly in the previous verse indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials. As an academic education in Vedic literature, one must take to the devotional service of Krishna. Only then can one attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed form and other forms mentioned in Vedic literatures are all emanations of the original two-handed form Krishna. This was one of the most highlighted point that all the other forms besides two-handed form are emanations of Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from the forms. What to speak of the impersonal conception? As clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita 5.48, the Mahavishnu into whom all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they come forth again simply by his breathing process is a plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore, I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation and he is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literature Gopal Tapani Upanishad 1.1, the following statement appears. Satchit Anand Rupaya Krishna Yaklista Karine Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Shakshine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who has a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to him because understanding him means understanding the Vedas, and he is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishno ve paramam devatam. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Gopal Tapani Upanishad 1.3 Eko vasi sarvaga Krishna idya eko pi san badhoda ya vabhati. That one Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and he is worshipable although he is one. He is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has body of eternity, knowledge and bliss. He has no beginning, for he is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. In the Vishnu Purana it is said, Yatra Vaitranam Krishna Khyam Param Brahma Narakriti. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna and he sometimes descends to this earth. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is original Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Mata Prataram Nanyat. There is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead Krishna. He also says elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Adherhi Devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for Godhead. It is not Krishna's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing. Rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna, must had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities. But to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most dear. I think this is the best time to conclude today's lecture because we are reading from last 2 pages And Krishna is personally saying himself that his two-handed form is very difficult to achieve from anyone. So now, since we have come up to the part where Krishna has explained himself about the glories of his two-handed form, if you have anything to share, any reflections, we are open to it. But not, then we'll be waiting for Radha Kirch or Gopinath to show you guys that two-handed form so that you can resonate what Arjuna is trying to see. Okay? Hare Krishna. Kind of.